We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. Voter fraud. We have put together voter fraud. We have put together voter fraud, the most extensive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. I am operating with one half of my brain tied behind my back. The other half of my brain is fully intoxicated. Anyways, I tell you what, folks, what you and I know here is probably 10 times more than the average person has any clue about what's going on. I want to congratulate you for doing just that, making sure you're informed and you're prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. I want to thank you, Mr. Uman. I want to thank Jolene. I want to thank Mr. T. And I want to thank all of you across the Prepared Mind Network spectrum. This is the Friday Freak Out Free for All. I'm actually starting it a little bit early, so we're light on the board. This is an improvise, adapt, overcome. Holy cow, I started early. That's the way it goes. I've got just too much going on. I'm going to start, though, with a question from Chin Music. And we're going to go back and forth. We're going to shotgun blast as questions come in that Mr. Uman likes. And, of course, Uman has a lot to talk about as well. Topics that we discussed earlier is we engaged in some private phone calls or private discussions away from the very nice microphone, the prepared mic. Anyways, yeah, there's some great topics about the free speech that I think we just might jump into a little bit. Free speech with respect to SHTF, freedom, our lives, what's going on in this country. There's some very subtle and some very not so subtle things happening out there. And it's interesting to get caught up in it and then say the exact same things the other side says. It's like, well, is it tit for tat, eye for an eye? Or is it just the first one to get to the trigger wins? Anyways, let's start with Chin Music. Coming out the gate, he says, Connecticut judge is overturning the results of a primary. Now, it's just a mayoral, the mayor of a city election. But just days before the election, the judge is getting involved. There's a lot of election fraud going on, which is why I put on there Mr. Joe Biden, talking about putting the most extensive voter fraud team together. And that was back in, 2020, right? We're still dealing with the consequences of it, folks. They're still fighting all around the country. There's going to be an impeachment up in, I think, of Wisconsin. And the people there who are doing that, they're pretending like they don't want to, but they're being forced. And speaking of being forced, MAGA, Make America Great Again, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, the Republican elected Speaker of the House, he needs to get the word impeachment about Joe Biden, not just talking about it, but taking a vote, doing it. Game time is over, folks. It's truly over. The election fraud, it is rampant. It is out there. Now, to really bring this to the front is Ken Buck, who I said is retiring. He's a rhino Republican. His dying act as he leaves office, the dying act of a rhino Republican, is to testify in a trial in the state of Colorado to try and remove President Trump from the ballot. Do you have any doubts about rhinos anymore? These never Trump Republicans, never Trump bureaucrats, never Trump. Why? Why never? They would rather have Hamas in office and Hamas occupying Washington, D.C., than to have Trump in charge. I have no doubts about that. I bet they really would like that. They really would. And this is the dying act of one of these. This Republican guy, Ken Buck, says, Ken Buck says he's not going to run for office again. So showing us exactly what a piece of shit he is. Right? He's going to try and keep Trump from getting on the ballot. Folks, it's deeper than that, though. It's deeper than just Ken Buck. It really is. We had there's a project called the Article 3 Project, founded by a gentleman named Mike Davis, and he says that what's going on in this effort to remove Trump from the ballot, and Trump is the leading candidate, not just for the Republican Party, but for the whole nation. Yet in Colorado and other areas, they're trying to remove Trump from the ballot. And he had an interesting, succinct way of describing this. He said, quote, "These are Republican tactics by the Democrats." Isn't this interesting? Even the names of the political parties are now becoming part of the vernacular. A Republican move to keep the Republican off the ballot. And the Democrats are saying that Trump is trying to destroy democracy. Democracy, Democrats, Republicans. Except the Republicans, many of them are rhinos, and they're joining the Democrats. But back to the terminology. You know, this claim that these are Republican ending tactics by the Democrats. Well, in Colorado, folks, the trial there, they're claiming an insurrection took place. Trump was responsible for it. Therefore, he is disqualified under the Constitution and the laws of the country. Well, he's never been charged with insurrection or causing one or supporting one. In fact, he was calling for peace and people to leave and disperse, etc., before the Washington, D.C. police violently attacked civilian protesters. In fact, I'm going to go so far right now, and anyone can join in, anyone can comment. Think about it. Do you remember that thing called Tiananmen Square? In the 1990s, at a place in China called Tiananmen Square, student protesters wanted freedom, wanted liberty, wanted their rights recognized, right? They had a protest, and the Chinese military, the People's Liberation Army, the PLA of China, the People's Liberation Army of China, meaning the communist military. China is run by the communist military, folks. China is owned by the communist military. The communist military rolled in with tanks and they slaughtered everyone in a huge act of violence to show the people of China, you will not stand up to the government. And in January 6th of 2021, the people showed up in Washington, D.C., and had their own version of Tiananmen Square play out, where the government pretended there was a problem and then assaulted, attacked, and killed Americans, as well as injured others, and ended up arresting hundreds. When it's all said and done here, they will have arrested hundreds and held them in prison, folks, in a Soviet communist-style gulag prison. Now, I'm going to go back and read this article again, or this story. Article 3 Project. He said that the insurrection trial to remove Trump, folks, is a Republican-ending tactic by the Democrats. If they can remove Trump from the ballot in one state, they can remove Trump from the ballot in other states. Now, many states are going to be Democrat no matter what. whether Trump's on the ballot or not. You know, like New York, Massachusetts, California. There's going to be plenty of blue states that stay blue. In fact, there's a lot of guys in those blue states blew everyone they could. Now, with respect to Republic ending tactics by the Democrats, what I have to say as a patriot, an American, and a prepper is that when republics end, when they fail, when the republic gets to the end of the line, shit hits the fan, goes hard core. Understand that, folks. We're in SHTF right now. You could call it SHTF light, if you will. At the moment, there are not massive riots everywhere. Cities aren't burning, but that could happen anytime now. What we have, though, is the federal government, especially being the one arresting people and throwing them in prison, and then using the judicial system to try and give justification and veracity, trying to make it look justified that they're doing what they're doing by holding trials. Folks, it's not a trick that worked back in 1776, and it's not a trick working today. The idea that the government can arrest people and then hold a trial, which gives the appearance of propriety, the appearance of legitimacy. That's what they're trying to give their shutdown, their republic ending tactics. They want to give their republic ending tactics the appearance of validity. They are completely invalid. They're violating the law. They're violating our rights. They're violating everything they can at every turn and lying about them. Truly a disgusting set of things that are going on. Now, Mr. Uman, give me thumbs up or thumbs down. Have we got a topic that wants to tie right into this? Okay, right now we don't have a smooth segue. So I want to give you a World War III update because we have a World War III prompting that is going on. World War III prompting that's going on. We have Vladimir Putin in Russia, right? Vladimir Putin in Russia. He's the leader. Well, there's another guy named Dmitry Medvedev. During Obama's reign of terror over the United States, Dmitry Medvedev was the leader of Russia. Don't worry, Putin was still there, right? We knew he was behind the scenes, but Dmitry Medvedev was, shall we say, an adequate stand-in. Well, he's back. I don't think he ever really went away. He's basically Putin's, second in command in a lot of ways. Anyway, he has now come out, Dmitry Medvedev of Russia. And he has warned Poland. He's put out a very stern warning to Poland. And he says Poland may, quote, lose its statehood. A very interesting comment coming from Russia. So I want to give you more of what Dmitry said, and then I want you to think about what could happen. See, Poland has been talking a lot of shit. Poland has been demanding that other countries support Ukraine, and Poland has been screaming and yelling that Russia is threatening all of Europe. Right? There's something there is something out there between Poland and Russia. And I didn't know it existed. But it's starting to make sense now. So Russia has come out. You look at the state of the economy. Folks, all the economists I listen to, invest here, invest there, get rid of this, go in this direction. They now have a message also. It seems like all economists are like, we need to get prepared. You need to be ready. You need to have things in order. You need to be understanding where we're at. And economists are now talking about things other than the economy. They're talking about SHTF now, folks. So when you look at the world, you got the economy, right? You got finance, the banking system, you've got international relations, all of these different areas, right? we're seeing that Russia is staying on top. Russia is making friends and allies around the world, just not in Europe and the United States, through their BRICS union, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, that now includes over a dozen other nations. And there are many applicants and other associates all making nice deals, right? Russia is setting up currency. Russia is setting up trade. Russia is setting up war alliances. Everything a country should do right before going to war on a bigger scale, Russia's been doing successfully. And now because of their position, Russia owns Europe, by the way, folks. They own Europe's energy system. All they have to do is tell the other countries, don't send them oil, right? Don't send them gas. Don't send them diesel. We won't send them natural gas. And Russia owns Europe by shutting down their energy. So Europe needs to kiss Russia's ass. Who is what did they call Trump? He's a Russian lackey. Europe appears to be lackeys to Russia's energy. Anyways, Russia's now talking trash to Poland. Now, I got some article here from Gateway Pundit that has a lot of the quotes from Medvedev, right? And what they say is, Vladimir Putin is the cool, steady, smooth Russian face. And Medvedev is more of a maximum, right, tough guy. And he's making hardcore reactions in this geopolitical nightmare known as the Ukraine war. And he's letting the world know that Russia is not weak, right? So this article was published in Russian media, and Medvedev came out and warned Poland that it is considered and been moved up to the state of dangerous enemy. Not just neutral, not just adversarial, not just the enemy, but dangerous enemy. And Russia says, and this is the threatening statement, it could end up losing its statehood if it continues on its current course. I wonder what that course could be, right? So, the former Russian president, Dmitry Medvedev, now his job is the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council. So basically, he's like the National Security Council of America, but this is Russia's Security Council. He wrote an 8,000-word article on Russian-Poland relations. And he says, hey, Moscow has a dangerous enemy in Poland. So here's a quote of what Medvedev said. Folks, this is all SHTF big time. They could pull on Russia, or Russia could pull on Poland's chain. They could cut off the gas, cut off the oil, cut off the diesel, cut off the natural gas, cut off nuclear fuel. He says, we will treat it, meaning Poland, precisely as a historical enemy. If there is no hope for reconciliation with the enemy, Russia should have only one and a very tough attitude regarding its fate. That's pretty damn tough, don't you think? Once again, Medvedev, former president, now national security leader for Russia, he says, we will treat Poland precisely as a historical enemy. If there is no hope for reconciliation with that enemy, Russia should have only one and a very tough attitude regarding its fate. Medvedev continues, history has more than once delivered a merciless verdict on the presumptuous Poles, meaning Poland. No matter how ambitious the revanchist plans may be, their collapse could lead to the death of Polish statehood in its entirety. So this has everything to do with Ukraine and Warsaw, Poland, trying to butt heads with Moscow, Russia directly. So they are hitting new lows, folks. Who is standing behind Poland? In 7th grade, I had an 8th grader try some shit with me. He got tough, he got stupid. And I was with friends, and I stood up to this bully, right? This guy who was talking a bunch of tough trash. And I turned around, and all my friends were gone. And I was facing the enemy. And a little later, one of my so-called friends let me know. He's like, hey, if you're going to stand up to those guys, we're not going to back you. This is fucking 7th grade. One heck of a good lesson to learn. You better know who your friends are, and you better believe they're going to be right behind you and then with you and then side by side with you if shit gets nasty. So Warsaw, right? Who is going to step up and protect Poland? Anyone? Anyone? The United States? NATO? England? Who wants a wider war in Europe? Who can afford a wider war? Both military equipment, trained military personnel, and the money to continue a war effort on the scale that could happen. Russia has shown the West, folks, meaning Biden and the US, NATO and the European Union, he's shown them to be weak. Absolutely weak. Poland better look around. You may realize that the friends you thought you have are not going to be there for you. It's quite a lonely feeling, folks, to turn around and not have anyone backing your ass, and you get your ass beat for it. And Russia, folks, says this could lead to the death of Polish statehood in its entirety. In other words, Russia is saying, you dumbasses, you could end up in a serious SHTF problem. Can Poland survive without food, fuel, energy? We're going to find out, folks. They're getting stupid, and then they're getting more stupid. What a day, what a week, what a year, and what a hell of a fucked up time we've had since 2020, when shit hit the fan, and it's just been going downhill from there. Downhill. Oh man, how we doing back there? Got the blue wrench going? Here we go. Uman says lots of anonymity between Poland, Germany, and Russia from World War II. My folks still hate Russia from World War II. They would figure out a way to call Russia Putin bad for saving a drowning kitten. Folks, now this is interesting. Uman sharing a little bit of a family history there. The Germans have no love for Russia. Russia has no love for Poland. Germany, right? And then you got France on the other side. There's a lot of old feelings there. And we're getting a look at that around the world, are we not? We have people down in Israel and the Gaza-Palestine issue, and then you've got the old religious enemies of Muslims and the Jews and the Christians. Everyone seems to be gearing up and being pissed off. Yeah, and there's not a lot of love. There just will not be a lot of love going on. Now, it continues. It really does. It's going to continue. This I don't like you, and then the shit talking that happens after it. Is Germany going to back Poland against Russia? I don't think Russia is going to take Poland, folks. I really don't. I don't think Russia is going to roll into Kiev even and take the Ukraine capital or any more in Ukraine. Volodymyr Zelensky, leader of Ukraine, he's already a dead stick. He is no more than a twitching corpse on a table waiting for the last death moves before he completely expires. Let me show you a little bit about, or talk to you a little bit about what Russia is thinking as they move forward. They have a their own drone called Lancet, Lancet. Remember when we first put out our smart bombs, right? No more carpet bombing. We're going to use smart bombs to surgically strike the enemy. Well, and we thought that was really cool, right? Smart bombs. Yeah, that's smart. Well, they're calling the Russian Lancet a kamikaze drone. Well, essentially, it's a smart bomb, right? It's a guided missile bombing system. And it's hitting and really putting the hurt on Ukraine. It's turning out to be quite a game changer because, as usual, and all through history, Russia has had a lower tech but very effective set of weapons in the air. For example, the MiG aircraft fighter aircraft the Russians have had, from the MiG-17 or MiG-15 on up, have always been kind of a lower tech, cheaper made, but very effective air attack vehicle. And now their Lancet drones are a very inexpensive but very effective way to deliver precise hits. I guess the difference between a smart bomb and a drone is the drone can fly around and someone can stare at things with a camera, and when a target is sighted, and then it goes in and blows itself up. So, hence kamikaze. So here's a quote from the article. Russia has made extensive use of cheap suicide drones, also known as kamikaze or one-way attack drones. And they've been doing it and using it since their invasion in February of 2022. Right? Ukrainian artillery soldiers fighting in Ukraine's counteroffensive told Reuters. In other words, those who haven't run from the Ukraine front line told media people that the Lancets these drones are a key threat, and Russia has upped their use of them in recent months. Now, again, in the U.S., we would say, "Hey, that's a smart drone. That's a smart bomb, right? It's a smart weapon." But yeah, the media loves to call them suicide drones and kamikaze. They want to admit to sound negative, but in all truth, folks, looking at both sides, war is bullshit for profit. It is. What is a government's job? Well, it should be to protect the people on a nation's borders, but governments also have business to conduct. They need to collect taxes to keep the government going, and you do not affect a government's ability to collect taxes. If you do, right, it's going to attack you. That's what war is, folks. When one country goes to war with another, it's usually over money, hard times. They want more. And here we are. You end up in a bullshit war so that some country can say it owns another piece of dirt or real estate. And that's what we got here. Or they're so paranoid, they're protecting themselves from other country and they'll go to war. Does that sound familiar to you guys? It's completely, to me, the way this shit works. It truly is. It just is the way the game is played. These countries are threatened. These countries feel threatened. These countries are aggressive. They want to shift blame and attention, just like the Joe Biden administration wants to blame everyone else and distract and then get the attention off of them. So here we go. Uman, how are we doing down there? Okay, cool. Thanks, man. Let's come back to some, no, I want to do this. I want to take us all the way down to the Antarctic. The Antarctic is a continent supposedly at the bottom of the world. And way down there, it's international. There are no national borders and national boundaries. Nobody owns the Antarctica except all the governments of the world say they own it, and no one can go there unless you have special permission. And so what they're doing a lot of down there is scientific testing as well as exploration. But this scientific testing, folks, in Antarctica, what are they? What's down there? Fucking ice and penguins. Well, you can't use penguins to tax the world, but you can use the melting ice and other climate sciences, right, to scare people. So they control that. That's really what goes on down there is weather, climate studies. And to make sure that ice continues to stay thick. If it starts to thin, whoa, look out, the sea levels will rise. Nope, I haven't seen it yet. They've been threatening it for 30 years and it still hasn't risen an inch. Anyways, down there, they've got a problem. They've got a problem with all these scientists, right? The Office of the Inspector General for the United States has sent inspectors to McMurdo Station. That's the American station. Notice how it's not called a base, it's a station. Because they have a culture of rape and sexual assault in Antarctica. Well, it's not a problem between nations. It's not a race issue. It's not an economic issue. They don't have economics down there. There's no money down there, no economic issues. It's an international area. It's a climate study zone. So folks, they've got a culture of rape down there. In other words, women are being raped. Women are being sexually assaulted. Women are also being sexually harassed left and right down there. So I want to ask you this question. Do you think it's all of the Republican climate scientists? Do you think that's what's going on? All the Republicans down there that are talking about climate change? Or do you think it's more of the Democrats and Democrat-minded socialists who are the climate scientists? Funny, is it not? I find it hilarious. Too bad to these women for being down there with a bunch of perverted Democrats who want to sexually harass, sexually assault, or rape women. It's the same as Washington, D.C., folks. In my opinion, there's no way around it. These people are showing and proving to us time and time again, they're a bunch of stinking perverts. They truly are. To be a Democrat is to be a pervert. It is. Oh man says, I think it's all consensual until someone gets caught or has second thoughts at a later time. Oh, those are other complaints. And I tell you what, they're verifiably true. Someone gets caught and they're going to say, oh, no, that person did that to me. Or afterwards changes their mind and says, I don't think that was consensual. Now, this isn't the first time I've studied and ran into this. There are a lot of complaints by women down there. They're being sexually harassed. But could it be that those women down there are liberal climate scientists and they have a liberal woke mindset and they don't like these sexual advances of men because they're feminists and Democrat and scientists. So they don't appreciate it. So they're making lots of complaints. You bet. Folks, I don't put anything past it. It's left versus left, and the left is eating the left. And it's leftist idea that, well, I'm a Democrat and I can get away with this versus leftist idea of I'm going to complain about every man that ever comes anywhere near me. Yeah. Oh, man. I tell you, we got some crazy stuff. Now, let's see, we had something else on this. Oh, yeah, with more of these perverted Democrats. Now, you remember Susanna Gibson, don't you? She is the what do we got there? Oh, I'm over here. Okay, cool. We'll get right back to that in a second, Mr. Uman. I'm over here. Let me write that down there. So Susanna Gibson was the hot housewife experience Porn star running for office. She's a nurse and a mom and married to some guy, but was doing the hot housewife experience while running for Congress, got caught. You can go see every bit of whatever body part you want by typing in Susanna Gibson and Pornhub, right? She didn't like it. She wanted to charge that it was a violation of her privacy that people were discussing what was being. It's crazy. Of course, you know, she's they're committing sex acts for money and tokens. Also offered hotel workers where they were at to you know, snort drugs off her body. What, you know, people are fucked up. Well, in Virginia, now another Democrat who is running for office is showing us what a bunch of fucking weirdos the Democrats are. Right? She posted on, I think, TikTok a video of her peeing in public. Sometimes you just don't have to make this shit up. These people tell the story themselves. They tell the story on themselves, right? So Susanna Gibson, who's, you know, giving BJs and doing doggy and all manner of internet porn with her husband, all of a sudden she wants to complain that someone violated her rights, you know, by talking about it and exposing her to everybody. She exposed herself. But the point is Uman has a very valid point that, well, she got caught and now she's screaming foul. So down in the Antarctic, oh yeah, they're probably getting caught screwing around, playing games, and they're all accusing each other, but it's all a bunch of climate Democrats was my point. But they are also a bunch of perverts and a bunch of weirdos, right? Don't you touch me, but, you know, it's okay to go touch kids in school. What a bunch of crazy people, folks. Truly, what a bunch of crazy people. All right. Let's do this, Mr. Uman. Let's go over. I think you said Nikki has something to say about Russia. There it is. Do stuff with Nikki. Our family on both sides, ends of Germany, had a bigger problem with Hitler and his army. Didn't have a problem with Russians. My uncle Bob actually left and lived in St. Petersburg. Why they didn't mind the Russians was because on some level they knew they'd put an end to the Nazis. At least they hoped. Hitler screwed up when he double-crossed Russia. That made them happy. World War II is full of all kinds of stories, and it depends on your perspective. Right? My family left Germany or Bavaria in the 1720s. So, you know, they didn't have to experience Hitler or communism. But for those that did, it really depended on your perspective. If you feared communism, then you really didn't like Russia. But if you were more afraid of Hitler than Russia, of course, you would side with Russia. What an awful time to be on the planet, not knowing who you could trust and who you couldn't. Imagine having both Hitler and the Soviet Union, right, fighting in a war to decide who gets to own and destroy you. Wow, what an incredible thing. Quite an incredible thing. Yeah. A friend of mine is an Army officer, retired Army major. He spent 25 years in Germany in the Army. And he met some of the Germans who were in World War II. And he interviewed them, and it was interesting. He said a lot of them said that if Hitler showed up today, they would follow him again instantly. I mean, who the hell would want to admit that? Well, you know, then there was Albert Speer, who was like the architect, the city planner, designer, architect for the Nazi world that they were trying to make happen. He actually got to interview him in prison. I think he was in Spandau prison, may have been Spandau. Anyways, the point is that they had incredible designs for the world, and this war, it was just what a fucked up system that came out of it. You had many countries that sided with Hitler because they hated the Soviets, the Russians, the communists. So as soon as Hitler took, say, Poland and took other countries through Northern Europe, they sided with Hitler and they became SS officers, and they joined the SS, the army, and they fought against the Soviets. It was completely fucked up. Completely fucked up. Yeah, Hitler screwed up and double-crossed Russia, and then they were stuck fighting on two fronts. That was a screw up, but there it is. Thank you very much, Nikki, Mr. Uman. Let's see, what have we got? Where are we at? We're at 40. Holy cow, 41 minutes. Let's see, where do we want to roll? There's some interesting stuff, right? The House of Republicans, or House of Representatives, the Republicans there, approved a bill that takes IRS funding away from them and is giving aid to Israel to fight Hamas. And the Democrats are losing their mind, literally breaking down in tears over this. Liberal Democrats are losing their shit, folks, because the House of Representatives wants to give money to Israel. Now, folks, also on top of that, Zelensky is crying as well because nobody seems to care about Ukraine now. They are Dunsky, right? So let's combine that story with the other SHTF story. Russia's telling Poland, basically, hey, turn around. Who's supporting you in this war effort in Ukraine? The United States and many other countries are losing interest in Ukraine. They're not going to win, so they're backing out. The United States government's now turning its attention to Israel and Hamas, or at least we're seeing that attention in the news, and the people are being distracted by it as well. Nobody's caring about Ukraine. I can't remember the last time I saw a Ukraine flag, but every time I do, I'm like, why would you support either side? They're all a bunch of assholes. Anyways, that being said, I don't think they have the money to do what they were doing, folks. All these wars they want to fight, they just don't seem to have it. And then we've got other problems, right? The United States, how many fronts can you fight, right? Even the stinking Iranians are talking shit. Hassan Nasrallah has basically told Israel, hey, attacks are incoming. And then here's a quote from Hassan Nasrallah as well. We will attack U.S. bases. They must pay the price. Right? So Hamas, or rather Hezbollah, is threatening strikes on U.S. bases. They're threatening the Israelis. We've got war up in Europe with Russia threatening Poland, and Ukraine continuing to, well, not call for peace, but rather for more escalation. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen? Well, we've got war here in our country, folks. We truly do. We truly do. A couple more quick stories. You've heard of Loudoun County school districts in Virginia, right? This is where the trans children have been raping other girls. So now the high school students, dozens of them, have done a walkout. See, they're giving up what little education they get from the school system because there are people who have been hurt. They're demanding that the school district reverse the transgender bathroom and locker room policy, because that policy has led to innocent girls being raped, assaulted, attacked, etc. Now, when I grew up, Pink Floyd had a song, hey, teachers, leave us kids alone. Like, that was a big deal. It was like music artists, siding with kids to protect kids. from authoritarian schools. Well, where's the modern version of Pink Floyd? Where are the anti-authority bands now? Hey, perverts, leave us kids alone, right? That's what they should be singing now. Kids are having to stand up for themselves, and good for the kids in Loudoun County, Virginia, and elsewhere, where they stand up and say, you need to reverse these transgender bathrooms, these transgender locker rooms, these, drag queen shows, all of this sick, perverted shit in our schools, all this communist crap and BLM and critical race theory, anti-American stuff. Kids are having to stick up and fend for themselves, folks. It's scary as hell. And then we've got this. Top law firms around the nation are sending letters to the elite Ivy League snobby schools and says they're not going to take students from their colleges because these law firms won't tolerate anti-Semitism. And what we're talking about here is the colleges allowing their students to support Hamas and support pro-Palestinian terrorism, and then also attack Israelis and Jews in college in America, and talk trash and condemn Israel, and basically intellectually sanction the murder of innocent civilians. Now, when I first heard that, I thought, that's great. These law firms are saying they're not going to tolerate anti-Semitism, and they're not going to hire these kids, anyone from these colleges. But then I thought about it. Well, what about the anti-whiteism coming out of colleges? Or what about the anti-law and orderism coming out of these colleges, where these colleges are producing students, graduates who are anti-white and don't care about law and order, right? They're complete radicals. What about the colleges that produce anti-maleism, right? They hate men. What about these colleges that are anti-American? Will these law firms say they're not going to recruit from colleges that are against whites and have anti-white policies and anti-male policies, and these colleges that have pro-Antifa policies? Or what about are they going to go after these colleges for being anti-American? Are they going to go after these colleges for being pro-communism, pro-terrorism? Why is it anti-Semitism that these law firms are worried about, right? Why are they only concerned about the anti-Semitism coming out of these fucking colleges, when for years and years we have had to listen to these violent, radical wackos pushing communism, trying to destroy America, attacking men? Now they're attacking women with their pro-trans sports players and pro-trans, you guessed it, scholarships. It was nice to hear that the law firms are drawing a line, but they're only drawing it around Jewishness. Pick a side, law firms. Pick a side. If you're going to put anti-Semitism on the table and say that's something, you better step up and say, and you better be for America, and you better not be a gender bigot or a race bigot. I would like to see more out of these fucking people, but I guess, to them, it's just about anti-Semitism. And I get it. They shouldn't be anti-Semitic. And they shouldn't be anti-Egyptian or anti-Jordanian or anti-Syrian. They should be, pro-America, pro-freedom, pro-equality, all of those things. All right, Mr. Uman, let's do this. Let's talk about what you've got going down on there. We got some stuff in the boards. We got Charles Gentry. He says, watching the rhinos investment activity. And guess what? Seems to be some insider trading on companies that will be doing the war manufacturing. Oh, I'm sure that Ken Buck, as he leaves Congress, is going to be well informed and well aware of what companies are going to be doing. Hell, you don't even have to be out of Congress. Now you can do insider trading while you're in Congress. Yeah, it's all about war profiteering. In fact, Smedley Butler, retired Marine Corps General Smedley Butler, back in the World War I to World War II era, the most decorated Marine Corps veteran officer of all time, wrote a book called War as a Racket, meaning it's about profits. That's really what it's about. It's really what it's about. That's interesting. Chin Music sent me a meme from the Babylon Bee. And it's a younger man and woman looking at grandpa and saying, it's a tough decision, but I think it's about time that we put you in the U.S. Senate. You're that old now. Right? You thought it was going to be, we're going to put you in the old people's home. Nope. It seems like in this country, you get to be too old, they put you in the Senate up there with, that's, you guessed it, Feinstein and McConnell. Joe Biden was a lifetime U.S. Senator, it seemed like. All of these old fossils out there. Anyways, Mr. Uman, what do we got? Who is up next? We've got Jason Walker. He says, yeah, Uman, been a shitty day. Shit day, dealing with assholes of the younger generation. My question, why is it illegal to backhand an asshole who desperately deserves it? See, that's the problem, Jason, and I'm not an advocate of violence. I'm not glamorizing it, but when kids are little, just small, short little people, when they mess up, they should get a swat on the butt. And they learn, hey, being a little butthead gets you a penalty. And when they screw up and mess up, they should get their cookie taken away from them, sent to their room, or sent to bed early. Right? You take away something that they want or like and say, that is a penalty for doing bad things. So that as a child grows into a mature adult, they don't keep acting like assholes all the time. And it's a good way to teach social manners as well. That way we don't have as many fights. Now, here we are, these younger generation punks. They could use a good ass kicking, in the opinion of many proponents of corporal punishment, because they do seem to desperately deserve it, but they haven't had that discipline. And so that is going to play a key role, Jason, I think, in the SHTF world as we get into it. They're going to think they can be assholes and get away with it during hard and harder and hard times. And as they become, less affluent, as the standard of living goes down for these spoiled little bastards, it's going to cause them pain and discomfort. And it's probably going to make them into even bigger ass wipes, which means they will more and more desperately deserve a good beating. And it's going to prompt, I think, and create violence because they don't have social graces. They don't know how to behave. Here we are. Right? I really wish that there was a way to solve things with a good ass beating without it being assault and someone going to prison. Right? When someone and everyone knows exactly who needs their ass kicked. Woo! Okay. There it is. All right, Mr. Uman, do we have another one coming up here? What do we have? Hey, there you are, buddy.
You know what? Instead of putting up a long 3-part question, I figured I'd just come on and tell you the story.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, right at the beginning of the show, I had to run out for a second, and I had to talk to one of the guys that parks his truck here.
Okay.
And he just out of the blue asked me about what I thought about the whole situation in Palestine and Israel. And I said, fuck those guys. And he got a strange look at it on his face. And but that's my country. And he's Palestinian. Ah. And I said, he goes, what do you mean? You support what Israel is doing? I said, I don't support what either side is doing. I said, fuck Palestine, fuck Israel. I said, I feel horrible for the people there. I said, but you know what? Fuck both of them. And on top of that, fuck our country for financing this shit on both sides.
Correct.
I said they should be over there hammering it out between themselves without anybody else's interference. You know, handle your own business. We shouldn't be getting involved over there, and they need to solve their own problems.
And what'd he say?
Well, I was waiting for the reaction because it could have gone a number of different ways, but he just thought about it for a second, started nodding his head, got a big smile on his face, and shook my hand. He says, "You're right." He said, "It's all fucked up. They should fix it themselves. This is our country, and all we should care about is ourselves and our people." I said, "That's right."
Great story, man.
I said, "That's right." And I said, and if this was going on between Germany and Poland, I'm from Germany, but you know what? Fuck Germany. Fuck those people over there. They're just as messed up. Let them hammer it out between themselves. We shouldn't be involved in that either. You know?
Why say that?
Well, he just kind of smiled. And he's like, "Yeah, you're right." He shook my hand, big smile. And like I said, he said, "Yeah, we need to just be worried about taking care of ourselves and our family and, you know, not worry about all this government shit." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "You know, everything you see on TV, you know, both sides make a case for, oh, it's the bad Jews, it's the bad Palestinians, it's whatever." I said, "But you know what? Both sides are lying to us. Our government's lying to us. I don't believe any of it. Solve your own problem and leave me out of it."
Interesting that you were able to kind of turn him around and get him thinking. Now,
Yeah.
of course, he's still going to be pro-Palestine. Those are his people, and that's his country.
Sure. And I got no problem with the Palestinian people, you know, but, you know, I said, I told him, I said, you know, I got no problem with them. I got no problem with Jewish people. I got no problem with anybody. I said, you know, as long as you're a good person, we could be friends. You know, I said, I just hate radicals of any sort, whether that be radical Palestinians, radical Jews, radical Americans, radical Germans, Christians, Catholics, whatever. You know, if you're a radical, fuck you.
Right.
You know, because radicals always want to put their noses in your business and tell you what you should have to do and how you should have to do it.
Right. That's true. Now, there's something out there, and I'm glad I've got you on this. And it is a great story that you were able to talk to someone openly and that they saw the wisdom of that. But why is it that Egypt is not going to allow a single Palestinian into their country?
Yeah, because they know a large portion of them are radicals and that they're going to cause problems in Egypt and cause Egypt problems with other countries as a result of that.
Yep, I agree with you. I agree they know and they understand and they don't want to have any part of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's no different than during World War II. You know, I mean, the U.S. became extremely wary of any Japanese person. They weren't letting Japanese people in here after we got attacked by Pearl Harbor. They weren't letting Germans in here either. You know, I mean, why would you let the enemy in the door? Or if, you know, say we're back in World War II, you know, why would, before we got drawn into it, why would we let anybody from that conflict into our country either?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you don't want those people that have been radicalized by war coming in here and causing problems for us when we weren't involved in it. You know, Egypt isn't involved in this. They don't want to be thrown into the middle. And if they start taking everybody, they're going to be in the middle of it.
And then we go to Operation Paperclip.
Yep.
Where after World War II, that's exactly what the United States government did, was they took the best Nazi scientists they could smuggle and snuck them into our country. They kept them segregated, though, in places like Las Cruces and where's that place in New Mexico where they did the bomb testing?
By Area 51 there?
Oh, that's in Nevada. But yeah, they've all got all these little, they kept them out in the desert there in these little Nazi communities.
Yeah, gave them different names and aliases and all that. It was like, you know, some kind of a witness protection program.
Basically, a scientist protection program.
Yeah.
But one of the big ones was Werner von Braun, who became the head of the NASA rocket program.
Right. But phenomenal advances in rocket engine designs. Yeah.
Yeah. But so then I go, well, what about Palestine? Can't we bring them in here? It's like, well, how many great scientists are there in Palestine?
Well, hey, man, these guys are making missiles out of water pipes, so they got to have some technology there that we can utilize.
Yeah, that's some basic chemistry, I think. But yeah, let's see. The Nazis brought technology we didn't have when they smuggled them into the U.S.
Right.
Yeah, we already have the ability to make our own IEDs and basic explosives. So, yeah, there's really nothing the Palestinians have that we want, or Turkey. Turkey's not offering to take them, or
Oh, basically, the entire Middle East, for that matter. I mean, even Israel. They got some good scientists and stuff over there, but that's all originating here and being further developed there. I mean, I don't know how much stuff Israel is creating organically.
their Iron Shield defense system. I don't know if it's a mirror of the Patriot missile system, but it's there. Anyways, yeah, that was a cool conversation you had with that guy. I'm glad you have it.
Yeah.
I've yet to have that opportunity with someone asking me to, try and get me to support them, and then just having a discussion.
Yeah, it was kind of out of the blue and surprising, but I just took the stance that I don't take sides on either side. I mean, who knows who's lying and who's telling the truth? They're all lying. Is my lying. Basic assumption. I don't believe
paranoid. Yeah, they're all paranoid. They're all greedy. They're all rotten to the core. They're all,
Yeah, I said I blame the Palestinians for starting it. No doubt about it. I said I saw the videos as it was happening. These guys were flying and they're pulling families out of the car and shooting them. I said that's a scumbag move. Fuck them.
Yeah, they just showed the world exactly who they are.
Yeah. And I said I can't blame Israel for retaliating, because if somebody came and attacked your family like that, wouldn't you go after them, or would you just say, let's have a ceasefire and I won't kill any more of your people if you just don't come after me?
News reports, a couple of them are showing that Hamas is backing down and de-escalating now. So we'll see how this rolls out over the weekend. Next couple of weeks.
I also see de-escalation in the form of oil prices being down $10 in the last week. If there were all these concerns about Straits of Hormuz still being shut down and, interrupting the flow of oil throughout the world, I don't think we'd be seeing those numbers coming down right now either.
But then today, Hezbollah, their leader, starts talking shit about Israel and the United States, saying they're going to attack our bases. So by Monday, we could have something. We never know. All we can do is be prepared.
Wasn't that letter Kaz sent us this afternoon from one of the leaders of Hamas or Hezbollah saying that, when you're winning the battle, we don't feel that we should get further involved. You guys are doing a good job losing your ass and getting blasted off of the face of the earth.
But yeah, it was Hezbollah out of Iran that was talking shit. Yeah.
Okay.
Hezbollah was, but Hamas was talking it down like, hey, it's cool.
Yeah.
No, whatever.
We'll see.
They're stinking liars and sneaks and cheats, and they'll take every opportunity they can. If someone turns it back, they'll put a knife in it. I don't trust them.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, man.
All right. That's all I have to say.
Friday for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have a good weekend, everybody, and we'll see you at the zoo. And I'll
Sunday
talk to you
Night Live, 6 p.m. Thank you, Mr. Uman. Thank you to everybody. We'll see you soon. Very soon. I'll send out little posts on YouTube to let you know, but it'll be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday Night Live.